A huge shout out to all the single mothers out there and divorcees and absent fathers. Yeah, I suppose you're only absent because you're modeling whatever was modeled to you. And I don't want to be sitting here right now making any excuses for anyone about anything. I'm just here to say big ups to all of you who have been doing this. So we are of this opinion that I know in Indian homes, they are of this opinion that when we raise our kids, we give them everything that they need. Sometimes we go overcompensating and we give them what they want as well. And we then suddenly subscribe to a belief that says our kids owe us something when they're older, or probably when they start working or something. We've subscribed to this belief. And for me personally, I haven't subscribed to any sort of a belief system that society follows, or that cultures or traditional beliefs they follow the certain way of being. All right, I come from a very multiracial background, and all of my beliefs, even my actions, each and every one of them, they just stop halfway unintentionally. I don't now I've just made myself aware that because of my multi-race, I've learned about myself that I do things and I stop halfway. Another race just kicks in. And it's not the right way to be, but because of struggling with an identity crisis, so to speak, for the lack of a better word, earlier on in my life, I've come to realize that I do certain things and I stop halfway, right? And another race will kick in and I become that race for a short while, all right? And then when I'm halfway through with that belief, a part of me kicks in and it will be like, this is not the way that Riz is supposed to be doing things. And so since I've become aware of this, that this is how I do things, or this is how I behave inappropriately, then I stop myself and I try to follow through with a belief that is just something that I was never raised with, because I've worked very hard to be everything that I never had, and everything that I never had was never role modeled. So I've never had a role model play a certain sense of leadership or an example that was appropriate. I've always found a mentor and I've followed through with whatever that was, and it starts with me. So I've always played the role of whatever advice or whatever spirituality I found, I acted it out. I applied it to my life, and when it worked for me, then I began modeling it to my kids. As you can see, I've got notes stuck up there, and these are my notes for if ever my kids have a slip of the mind and they do not remember how to behave, then they come back to my room and there are notes. So I've seen that they make notes as well. So this discussion or this topic is just a note to parents who think that when your kids are much older, then they owe you something. They owe you nothing. They don't even owe us good behavior, for what it's worth, right? We are just here to guide them and instill values in them and raise them to the best of our ability and for their best interest. I've never believed in beating my kids, so I don't beat. I negotiate, all right? I heard Riyad Musa saying this the other day and I burst out laughing because I do the negotiations, but I've also got to play the bad cop as well. So I'm the good cop and the bad cop, and all in the same breath, I'm still the mom. And I said to them a couple of times that, you know what, sometimes I need you to look at me as your older stepsister. You know, the times where I want them to come to me whenever they're experiencing hard times or whatever the case is, and I need them to be open with me and not hide things and not fall under peer pressure, or, you know. So it's a matter of saying the negotiating part is always the easier thing for me to do, because I do believe that in all of my 3 hours of talking with one child, somewhere, somehow, something that I've said, a point that I'm trying to make, it gets into the child. Because I do believe that the subconscious is listening to what I'm saying, you know. Because I always stop the child and I'll ask them, okay, so what did I just say to you? And don't just start from the last part. Start from everything that you remember. Now, because they know me and they're so used to me, they know that they've got to listen attentively, because I'm going to ask them, what did I just say? I would expect for them to repeat, not word for word, but in their own understanding what I said, right? So, and that said, I was having this discussion just the other day with a friend of mine, and we were speaking about how sometimes I want something so badly for them that it actually gets to a point where it frustrates me when they're not learning a certain thing. And it was at that point where I actually stopped myself and I realized that I'm doing something that I never wanted to actually do, and that was to force them to behave a certain way, you know? It's not easy to stop yourself and say, hey, Riz, you're doing that thing again. So the reason I'm saying shout out to my single moms and single parents, I know it's not easy. It is not easy. It gets difficult for me as well. And sometimes I just want to hit my head against the wall, and then I realize that, you know what, it's not like I'm going to get any knowledge instilled in my head if I hit it. So I do the self-regulation, right? It's not easy to also remember this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I got to do this. Now I got to do it 40 times, all right? I've also got to breathe in, breathe out. At least that one I remember to do it with a smile on my face, because I always, when I'm about to just freak out, or the matchstick is about to burn out, then I remember, you got to do this exercise with a smile on your face, because if you don't, you defeat the purpose, right? So lots of love to you, single parents. It's not easy, but you know what? Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, keep smiling, keep breathing, keep yourself regulated, and well done. Well done for what you've done so far. And this is even to me while I look into my dark brown eyes deep within my soul. Riz, you're doing a great job. And whoever's watching this, if I'm going through this, I'm sure someone else is going through it also. Your kids don't owe you a thing, okay? So keep on being positive and raising them with all of the effects of positive parenting. Continue what you're doing. You're doing a great job, okay? You got this far. Continue. Please continue.